All right, guys, welcome back to Within Tolerance. This is episode 55. I'm joined with, once again, Dylan. And yeah, I mean, it's just another week for both of us, I'm assuming. So I guess let's start off with Dylan. What's new with you?
Been working hard to get out of that hole I was talking about last time. I took off some extra time this last holiday weekend, um, and got a full day off at home, which is like kind of rare. Zero machine shop thinking at all, which was really nice. And then spent the other 4 days just grinding at the shop. And I I will be current with my orders in like a day, which is fantastic.
So
I
by the end of this week, you should be much better.
Yeah. I mean, I've got like current orders but they're not overdue, or I haven't had to contact the customer or anything like that. Like everything is feeling good again. I've gotten like there's been so much garbage, and I mean it's not garbage, it's material and stuff, just like sitting around on every horizontal surface. And so like I've gotten a
Yep.
lot of the shop back, and been a few projects that I was like unsure how I was going to tackle, and I got those out of the way, and they turned out great. So yeah, it was a really cathartic weekend, and I'm feeling much less stressed and been able to sleep easier and all that fun stuff. So yeah, it's been good. Nothing really, I don't know, nothing really super special at the shop. Like we've just been knocking out parts. Yeah, it's been a really hectic last month and a half, something like that. So now I can finally turn. I've got one big titanium project that just showed up. So I bought that Mari Tool boring bar system. So I'll
Oh,
definitely let
yeah.
everybody know how it turns out and stuff. Because I went through like my big problem is, I think I said it before. If I had the production, like I definitely would have bought the Regibor, or an individual Regibor per size, and like it would have been, I don't know, $4 or $5 worth of boring bars and the tool to set them. But if I had hundreds of parts to do, it would have been a no brainer. Like I've seen how well they work and all that, but because it's this order is like 35, and like this customer drops between 20 and 50 parts in my lap every now and again. And I wanted to be able to do a lot of sizes. Like this is our first boring bar that is like made for a CNC. Uh, the Mari toolkit just made the most sense. Like I looked, there's a hurdle set, or a Hertel set that like mounts to a ER40 collet body. But that thing was, I don't know, 36 or $3,700.
Okay.
And covered more or less the same range as the Mari tool one. And I guess the only real downside, if you could say it's really a downside, is that the Mari tool one's in metric, so you just have to do the conversion. You can adjust it in 3 microns, I want to say.
How
Or,
much was the Mari Tool one?
all said and done, it's like $1,800.
And it can do what sizes? What size range?
Hold on, I actually have Mari tool up, so I'll just pull it up so that I'm not. I want to say it's like quite a bit. It's like 236 to 3 inch something. So the holder's 110, the kit's $1,630, and it does everything from 236 thou to 3 inches, 550 thou. So 6 millimeters to 90 millimeters.
Oh, wow. I thought I heard you say like 2.36 inches to 3, and I was like, that's not that much, but no, like quarter inch up.
Yeah, it has 3.5 inches or 3.25 inches of range, pretty much.
Wow.
Yeah, so it uses off the shelf inserts too, which I really like. Like I think I mentioned it on here before, but like I know there's a lot of big Kaiser fans, but we used them at work, and just their inserts alone are like $75 a piece.
Jeez.
Yeah, and like depending on what you're boring, they don't last all that long, and
Yeah.
they don't really, like, you have to buy them from them or like a few other distributors. Like they're not a very well stocked insert size. Whereas like the inserts in the size that I need them for this, like I can get them. I already found like Mitsubishi's in the same grade that I use on my face mill for aluminum. Kyocera makes one that's for like steels. Mitsubishi has one for steels and stuff like that. Like I have a ton of options. And yeah, so you can adjust it in 1 micron increments, which is 40 millionths.
Jeez.
Yeah, 40 millions. So yeah, it should be more than enough, or more than accurate enough for what I need. Like the bores I'm boring are not super precise.
Is it like plus or minus 2 or something?
It's plus one minus nothing, but
Okay.
he needs them. Like there's a lot of things that are not on the print that I know he wants in talking with him, and it's like he wants really round holes and really high finish holes and or bores, and like we talked about it, and he really likes us and wants to continue giving us work, is what he said, and like I'm more than happy to buy something like this because it'll help pretty much anything that's tight in the future.
Yeah, and with that big of a range, that's really good.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like I said, if I get a production uh, job where I'm boring, hands down Regibor, no doubt in my mind, it is by far the best boring bar I've ever used. But for what this is and for the price, like you just can't get anywhere close to it.
Yeah,
So
so you'll get that this week?
hopefully, I'm hoping it shipped today. I didn't get any notification, but they usually ship same day or like the next business day. So yeah, it should be here shortly. I'm hoping, and I got a few inserts for it, and I got a few extra ER16 holders just because I'm trying to pretty much get rid of all of my old holders from the kitty in the new brother.
Uh-huh.
Like I'd like to have 100% dual contact holders except for the boring head one, I guess.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
But like I've been able to push my face mill. I've been like keep upping and upping and upping my depth of cut and feed rate, and I'm like astounded at how fast I can push that thing now compared to the kitty. So
Yeah,
it's
and probably still get the same finish.
yeah, yeah. So I my recipe coming off the kitty was 6,500 RPM and 80 inches a minute, and that was like with a 30 or 40 thou step down, and like that pulled like a decent amount of spindle load on that thing. And now I'm up to 70 or 80 thou depth of cut, 8 grand and 200 inches a minute, and it's barely ticking the 30% spindle load box.
Oh, you could go like 150 depth of cut probably.
I think so. Oh yeah, and like really at this point, I'm just towing that line of how tight am I holding my part.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's so much faster, and like I said, I'm barely using any spindle, so I'm just gonna keep upping that slowly and incrementally until I get to what feels like a safe limit, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
neither of us is doing enough production that I can willingly push my machine to the breaking point.
Yeah, seriously, but it's
Um,
always nice to know what that point is.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So so far, I'm really happy with all that. But yeah, Big Plus has just been such a big upgrade that I'm really happy that
It's a big plus.
yeah, yeah, it's a big plus.
Yeah.
So yeah, we got that. We got that big titanium order that just came in. I'm really excited to kind of tear into that. I haven't had a whole bunch of experience with titanium, so it should be a lot of fun.
Is
And
there any surfacing or 3D work?
yeah, yeah, there's surfacing. There's kind of tiny tapped holes that I think I'm gonna end up thread milling, like 256, I think they are.
Okay.
I'm gonna definitely get the through spindle hooked up in the next probably week for that.
Yeah.
Um, and I might actually have a way. We'll see. So like currently, I'm gonna have to drill holes in my stock sump, like one of the covers on it to mount the pump and mount the through stuff. But one of my ex customers, I mean, I guess they're a customer every now and again, but they have an S700 as well. And I gave them the whole parts list, and I think they want to do TSC as well. So he was like, "Hey, if you draw it up in CAD, like they have a plasma cutter, a CNC plasma, and then they're also getting a water jet pretty soon." He's like, "I'll cut those out and give you one, and take one for myself." And I was like, "Oh, okay, well, we'll see."
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So yeah, TSC's on the docket for maybe next weekend. We'll see.
And you
Um,
just need like what, like an 8-inch hole in the sheet metal to set the pump on?
yeah, though I need like not even that, maybe an inch and a half hole because I have a bulkhead fitting that I'm going to screw through the thing, and then I need another hole for the drain off of the filters, and then I'll need two smaller holes for two of the feet because two of the feet I can overlap two of the mounting holes already, and then
Okay.
then the other two I'm going to have to just drill holes in the sheet metal and put nuts on the backside.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, but I pretty much have everything. I mean, I have all the expensive stuff at least. I think I need like one more pipe because I didn't buy the length that like sinks the filters into the sump because I didn't know how much I'm gonna have to sink them. Like I need to take that cover off and actually figure it out. But besides that, like I pretty much have everything.
That's good.
Yeah, yeah. Trying to think of what else. Yeah, it was just a lot of working hard, getting stuff done. Did some NPT thread milling, which was fun. Uh, I hadn't done a whole lot of it, but Brad's done a ton at his day job, and so we ended up using it was an Allied Carbide thread mill, and they have like a code generator on their website because I didn't want to
Huh.
deal with a confusion. If you want to do an NPT thread milling, you have to model the what's it called taper on the hole,
Yeah.
and like I was like I'm running out of time. I don't want to do that, and so I just used their thread mill generator, and you just position the cutter like you know apply your height offset and bring it down to Z0 XY0 over the hole, and then the whole program runs in incremental from there. So it drops down incrementally, spirals out, does the tapered helix, and then goes back to 0 0, and so then you can just retract it like a normal tool,
Huh.
and
Interesting.
it worked great. I definitely would have rather been able to post it and not have to hand edit anything. But for I think it was 4 parts. I was like, screw it. I'm just gonna get it done.
Yeah. Just get it done. Move on.
Yeah. So yeah, that's pretty much has been my week since we last talked.
Yeah. 2 weeks, really.
Yeah. Yeah. What about you?
Let's see. Trying to think back. I don't think I mentioned this because I had gotten it recently, but I got that plastic grinder, which is pretty sweet.
Yeah.
So I can now basically 100%, well, 99% reuse pretty much all plastic parts that are either short shots, aka the part didn't fill all the way in the cavity, or like all the sprues and runners that are required just to make parts. I can now grind those up and just reuse the plastic, which is a big deal. And it's more of a big deal, I'm learning, for storage sake. So I made a bunch of parts and I kept all the sprues because like I'm not just going to throw away all this plastic. And it took up like, I don't know, 2 feet by 4 feet and like on a big shelf, and you grind it up and now it's just in a couple gallon Ziploc bags, and it's just like that's just a huge difference. And I'm kind of gearing up for, I'm waiting for samples to come probably next week of some parts of a production mold I'm getting made. I'm not making this mold, it's hardened steel, like everything, totally mold makers type job. And that's for a new BrickTactical product, like on the Lego side of things. And once I get that mold, I think I listed out, I think I have 10 colors, and I want to make like a couple thousand of each part. And there's 4 different parts. So there's going to be a lot of molding. And each one of those molding shots, there's going to be a sprue, and that's going to be like 10,000 plus of these sprues. And that would literally fill up a garage. Um, and now I can just grind them up and reuse them and just keep the cycle going. So
That's awesome. So I mean that kind of jumps into our questions. Andy Clark, H Clark asked, update on your plastic grinder. Is it a money saver or just a waste saver? So it sounds like a little bit of both.
I'd say, yeah, both. I mean, for example, like I just picked up some plastic today. It's not expensive. So I think I paid $1.25 a pound for ABS pellets. So I got like 3 55-pound bags for like $200 or something like that. But it's just like, I would say, yeah, I'd say it's both. But I got that, so that's working great. So like, for example, I was just downstairs setting up this fixture plate that I need to make, and then every couple minutes I'd walk over there and just throw some sprues in the grinder, just crunch them up while I'm doing other things, and every now and then I just walk over there and throw some more in. So it works pretty good. One thing I was worried about is I was grinding up like a dark gray plastic earlier, and I needed to switch to a light tan, and I was really worried about contamination because like I really picky about when I'm molding. Like, if you just have one little speck of like black and you're trying to get pure white, it is so hard to get pure white or pure any light color.
Oh yeah, I'm
Um,
sure. Even like, I mean, it just sounds very similar to like 3D printing, like where you're
or
trying
yeah,
to
I mean,
change out the
just
filaments.
exactly, yeah. So it's, or I always use the analogy of like food coloring. Like if you're trying to make like, not that you would, like white frosting, and you have just a tiny drop of red, like it's gonna screw you over.
Right.
Um, and so it's that type of thing, but luckily I basically opened everything up on this grinder. Like I opened up where you could actually see the blades and stuff, and I just vacuumed for like 30 minutes straight. I was just cleaning every possible surface I could, and I ran a couple tan sprues through it earlier today, and some more gray fell out, but I just vacuumed that up, and then it seemed to kind of clear its throat and was good to go. So I'm kind of glad that I mean, I've never done that, so I'm glad that I know how to do that now.
Nice. So what's your workflow going to be like for like that 1,000 piece order or whatever? Like, will you make 3 or 400 and then grind the sprues and then reuse that, or are you just going to make 1,000 and then have leftovers that you can make extras?
Probably that. I'll probably just do everything and then grind it up, store it, and next time I need that color, I'll just use that.
Okay.
Um, yeah, I don't know. We'll see because there's a lot of parts that needs to be made coming up. So I don't really know what's gonna happen or how much space these things are gonna take up or what's gonna happen. I mean, the other thing is, 200 pounds of plastic, that's a lot of plastic, but when you're talking tens of thousands of parts, that goes away quickly. And all of a sudden, you know, the sprue weighs more than your part. And so now you have this giant pin of sprues, but this tiny bin of parts. And it's like, well, where'd my plastic go? I need to reuse this now.
Right.
Um, so I don't know. We'll find out, but I'm glad that I got that now when this mold should be here. I would say in the next month it'll be done. But so I got that, and then I also got with that grinder. My buddy brought over. He fixed one of my other production molds that it got damaged when I was running it, and they had to. I haven't looked at it because I need to take the mold apart. But I'm pretty sure they either EDM'd or they just machined out this dented section, and then they filled it back up with. I can't remember what kind of welding they did. Um, they filled it up with weld and then they remachined it or something. And I guess that was my first kind of learning into how expensive fixing molds are. um,
Yeah, it's an entire industry.
yeah, luckily it wasn't that much. It was only $800, and if this mold cost me 9,000, so I'm like, okay, like that's not that big of a deal.
Yeah,
Um,
less than 10% to continue using it is,
and I've
I
already
mean,
paid for it and made, thousands of parts. So like it was really just like, okay, if I ever need to restock, like I need this mold running. So that's the only reason why I fixed it.
nice.
Um, but got that. And then let's see. Today I picked up a bunch of aluminum and that plastic. I've got 3 jobs that are all over 100 pieces each. And then I just got 2 more jobs for 100 pieces each. So there's a lot of production work going on.
That's awesome. Good for you.
Luckily, it's all aluminum. So, and I'm definitely, oh yeah, then I posted on Instagram. I got all these crazy Harvey tools, and I even got some more coming, I think tomorrow. I got lollipop tools, more key seat cutters. I got this, I don't even know. It's like a backside chamfering tool, but it's not the ones I was showing you. It's like this weird shaped one. I don't know, but it's all these backside chamfers and undercuts and crazy features that I'm getting with these parts. I like it because it's pushing me because I would have probably never used a lollipop tool, but now it's like, okay, that's like the only way to do it. Let's figure it out and learn. So I'm kind of excited, honestly.
Yeah, they're neat tools. I've had 2 or 3 parts over the years that I've like absolutely had to use it for. Otherwise, it would have been like a crazy setup to just get, but like 10 arc degrees of
Yep.
an arc or something like that. And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. So
And they're not that expensive. I mean, for a little 1/8 inch lollipop tool, I think it was like $30.
yeah, well, if you need them in a pinch, like MSC has AccuPro versions of them too that are really cheap.
Oh,
They're
really?
yeah, they're like Ty Allen coated or Nacro coated or whatever their special coating is, but
Okay.
so they're not like great for aluminum. I mean they work in aluminum, but they're not ideal for
Ideal.
aluminum. Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, I've had to overnight some of those before when I realized at the last second, like, oh, that face is not vertical like I thought.
Yep. Yep.
It's definitely undercut by like 2 or 3 degrees. Great,
Yep.
but cool.
Yeah, so I got those, and then I just thought of something. Oh, yeah, then this fixture plate for UV printing, I just set that up. I had to take both my orange and my other vise off, and I cleaned the table. I'm really happy with how my table cleaned up, and I got that. I was kind of like, the plate's just deep enough in Y that I can't use my T slots on both the front and the furthest away slot. Like I could only use one side, and like I just couldn't figure out how I was going to use like toe clamps to hold this thing down. So I finally was like, you know what? I'm just going to drill 3 holes in it and just go straight through the center. And it honestly, the only reason I didn't want to do that was for aesthetic purposes. But I'm like, you know what? Like this needs to get done. Like let's do it the right way. So I indicated it in. Everything's set. Once we're done podcasting, I'm gonna go down there and if I have time, run the code. It's going to be like a lot of reclamping ops. Like I'm going to have to cut the outside. I'll send you a picture of what it looks like.
I saw
Um,
your story of the 3 screws through the center.
yeah, did I show that already? I can't remember what I've shown.
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I did that. So I'll walk around the outside just real slow, cut a couple of these lightning pockets. Then I'm gonna have to take a bolt out, cut a pocket, put the bolt back in, like do that 3 times. Um, and I think the idea of that we were talking about is if I do all that pocketing first and then face it last, I should get that warp out of it if there is any.
Yeah, I think so.
And
I mean, the biggest thing is like you said. It sounds like your UV printing is kind of picky on depth. I guess is the best way to
yeah,
say it. So you definitely want it as flat as possible.
yeah, I mean, if it's within like 5 thou, that'd be totally fine. I'd like to get it a little bit closer because I'm learning that even with UV printing, like you can really notice a couple thou just by looking at something. You can be like, that's not centered when it's printed. So I'm doing my best, but yeah, I need to get that done because tomorrow I get the rest of the tools for all these production parts, and that needs to just I need to knock those out.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, really excited to get this fixture going. I've been posting more about stuff on stories and I'm kind of realizing everyone's messaging me. They're like, you need to do this. And I'm like, I need to do this.
Yeah, it's gonna be so epic. Like so much. I can't believe it sounds like there's so much setup time into UV printing. It should be quite a big time saver.
Yeah, it'll be cool. Like I've been showing, I mean, I'm looking at just hundreds of, if not thousands of parts that need to get printed. And I
Ooh.
think I need to do a video or something because I still feel like certain people don't fully get what I mean by UV printing. So I need to do just a really basic video just so people get it, like have that aha moment.
Yeah, for sure. That's
Um,
a good idea.
yeah.
I'm trying to think. We could do something cool, maybe
Oh
within
yeah. Then
tolerance wise.
oh yeah. I mean, I could do the within tolerance Lego guys.
That'd be pretty sweet.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the other thing I was thinking. I'm like, on the top of this plate, I'm gonna like engrave BrickTactical or something. I'm like, wait a minute, I could just print on it in full color, whatever I want. So I
Yeah,
was
there
like,
you go.
I
There
was
you
just
go.
like, I'm just gonna print a massive logo across the whole thing. Like,
Yeah, why not, right?
yeah, it's not gonna affect anything. So
Awesome. I'm really looking forward to seeing that all set up. That's going to be really like I think it's going to take a little bit of time up front to set it up, but then it's going to like totally revolutionize that side of your business.
yeah, it's just gonna be the new workflow. So I'm excited to make that change after having this printer for 5 years. So
For sure.
just
So,
trying to
have
think.
you updated Fusion?
Oh yeah, with the new tool library.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
There are a few awesome new additions, and it also looks like hot garbage. And
Reminds
I
me of
know,
Mastercam.
like, I know the Fusion team is getting a lot of flack, but this is our platform, and I feel like it needs to be said. Like, uh, it's just so hard to look at, and I've read there's a post on the Fusion forum. I don't know if it's even still there. That apparently you can edit some of the text and stuff, like in one of the files, a CSS file or something like that, and actually make it look a little better. And so I might try to figure out that stuff, because it's so hard to look at right now. There's no delineating like lines, like grid lines or anything between anything, so you can't like, I don't know. It looks so bad, and then it's really buggy too. Like none of the filters are sticky. So like if you change anything, the next time you open it, it's back to how it was. I can't believe that tool number is not a generic standard one right off the bat. Like that I have to add that.
Yeah, and
Personally,
some of the things what was I playing with? Because I haven't been doing much cam recently, but what was the thing? I'm pulling it up right here. Like, if I go to edit this tool and I'm going into, like, cutting data or something, and I'm like, I want oh, maybe it's not as bad, but I just remember I would click on something and start typing it in, and it would just not recognize that. I don't know.
yeah. So the big thing for me, and like actually, now that I'm at home, I'm going to check it again because on my license at the shop, if I add like tool number as one of my filters, it doesn't even stay anymore. Like it doesn't stay as a chosen filter. But apparently that was an old bug. Yeah. So okay, my license at home it works fine. My license at the shop it does not work at all. So
Huh.
yeah, I really appreciate the new filters on the right, like being able to filter like drill down, milling and then this type. I think that's cool. It's maybe a little more clicks than I'd like. And then everything's just way spaced out more than it needs to be. Like I have to scroll way more than I ever have had to before. None of the filters themselves seem like none of the stock filters seem intuitive. Like before, if I needed a drill, I could hit like sample library or drill library, and then it would already be by diameter, and it just makes the most sense by diameter. And now it's like by name or something right off the bat. So I don't know. I think it needs some work, but I really like the idea of presets. Like presets for different toolpath types or material types is freaking really cool. Like, and it opens up a lot of possibilities.
Yeah, I'm just kinda messing around as you're talking here. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's one of those things, it's kinda hard for me to remember what the old one looks like after using this for the last couple days.
I think there's somebody that did a screencast of the old and then the new. Um, it's there are things that I like better. I think the tool animation or the tool picture on the right hand side is better. I think the organization of it is really not good. Like it does not look. It looks too clean. Like I can't find what I need. Like the text all needs to be smaller, and the rows need to be closer together, and there needs to be delineation between them with a line or something, or different colorings or something. So I don't know. We'll see. They also removed like before you could click on a tool list, right click and say remove unused tools, and you can't do that anymore. At least I haven't been able to find
Really?
it. Yeah, which
I
seems
use
like
that
a
all the time.
yeah same. So it seems like a really big omission unless it's like been moved to a button instead of in the right click menu. But I don't know. Maybe I'll take some of the blame. Probably should have played with this when it was still in beta and like given my opinion on the forum or something, and at least gotten used to it. But man, it is like it needs some work. Let's just say
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And then it sucks because the manufacturing extension is no longer free. Which I
Oh
mean,
my gosh. Steep
I
and shallow?
yeah, Steve
Ugh.
Shell is super cool. Like I'm not gonna spend $750 a year for that,
Is
but
that really what it is?
well, normally it's $1,500, but right now through I
Holy
don't know
cow.
for the next day or two, it's 50% off. Um,
Wonder why.
right. Well, and like really, if everything worked, like if all of the probing stuff worked on my post right out of the box, I might pay that. But like none of the advanced probing stuff works on the brother post, and I'm not gonna like pay $750 and then go pay a reseller to fix my post so that it works with this stuff, so that I can use what I paid for, you know.
Yeah, no.
So I don't know. We'll see. Like it's a screaming deal at 750 compared to monthly, because monthly it's like $200 a month.
Oh, that's yearly.
Yeah, yearly is 750,
Okay, yeah.
which it's I don't know, compared to other cam systems it's still a bargain. Compared to paying $500 a year for a full license, it's like I'm spending 150% of my license to get one toolpath that I'll use and a whole bunch of stuff that I haven't had the chance to use yet. So
Yeah,
just
I
not worth it
was
right now.
programming some of these parts and I used steep and shallow and I honestly was confused. I'm like, I thought it was gone already. And then I loaded up Fusion the next day and it would not regenerate. And I was like, and it gave me an error message and it's like, this is not in your package or whatever. And I'm like, gosh darn it. I have to use stupid parallel or something.
Yeah, well, steep and shallow, you can get, like, if you looked in steep and shallow, it's more or less 3D contour and 3D scallop, I think, together.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like you can use both of those toolpaths to get the same result more or less, but it's just
Yeah.
so much quicker. Thankfully, I think the last time we talked, I was just about to start another run of those Delrin parts, and I used steep and shallow on those, and thankfully I've gotten through both runs with my license still intact.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Whew, okay, finish those just in time."
Oh,
So,
speaking of Delrin, you posted about who was it that makes Delrin that you were surprised by?
oh, Mitsubishi.
So how did that come up?
I just ordered it from McMaster, and like
Oh,
all of the
really?
yeah, all of the Delrin that showed up was from Mitsubishi Advanced Materials. And then somebody commented on the post and said Mitsubishi is actually like 12 different companies that are all under the Mitsubishi umbrella, and they all have like non-controlling stakes in each other.
I believe it.
Which I guess is like he was saying that it was like a uh, more common thing in Japan, I guess.
Okay.
But yeah, it was kind of interesting. It was just like, oh, I had zero idea that they made that stuff. But it was also a lesson in material variability, because like the first time I ran these parts, I ran 4 or 5 of them,
Okay.
and they like all came out perfect and real tight tolerance and no problem. And the second time I ran them, they were warping out like crazy, and I was struggling to hold tolerance, and like I just barely got them all in, because the second run was 8, I think, of them.
Okay.
And yeah, it was just like same material, same brand, same everything, same tool paths, different result completely. So it was really, really interesting.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense. They make freaking everything, so
Yeah. Well, and actually, what was ironic is that, so it was a pair of parts, and the ones that I struggled with the first time because they were warping out, and like I have to hold a really relatively tight and plastic tolerance on thickness and stuff, and that those ones the first time I think I scrapped out more than I made. Like I
oh
had a whole
geez.
bunch of extra material, and I like scrapped a whole ton of them. And the second time, those ones were zero issue. Every single one came out perfect, even though I had a whole bunch of extras. And then the ones that I thought were a slam dunk were like giving me trouble nonstop. It's like, you've got to be kidding me.
So it's just material.
Yeah, that was the only difference. Same tool, same everything. Um,
Huh.
I did get a chance to use those metric drills, which was fantastic.
Oh, those little cheap ones?
No, no,
Oh
the
no,
good.
no, no, the set. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I used what 2 or 3 of those, and I was like, oh man, I'm already glad I bought this set.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it was kind of a learning experience. I didn't think I was going to have any problems, and so I didn't anticipate and like didn't account for that. Next time, I'll definitely try to push the part further down in the material so that it's more even material removal on both sides.
Yeah.
If there's a next time, I mean, usually on the parts from this customer there aren't, so I'm not really expecting a third time. I was surprised at the second, let alone the you know a third would be insane.
Yeah, Delrin's fun to work with, but
Yeah. Did I send you a picture of the chips I had from that?
no.
I almost overflowed my chip pan on the Speedio with Delrins.
Really?
Yeah, it was so much. I'll have to see if I can find the picture. If I find it, I'll put it in the show Instagram.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, that was interesting for sure.
Yeah, these little pallets I have for this printing fixture are Delrin, and I'm curious to see how this works. I only chose Delrin because I want plastic on plastic contact. I don't want the Lego parts getting scratched up or, damaged.
Yeah, that's fair. Totally.
So we'll see how it works. My only worry is doing these quarter-inch holes so it's a press fit for these pins, but I'm not too worried about that because if anything, the plastic would be better for that. I feel like because it would just flex and they'd press in even easier, maybe
Yeah. So are you gonna have the pins pressed into the aluminum or the pins pressed into the Delrin?
into the Delrin.
Oh, okay.
So that way, because the plate the master plate, the aluminum plate that won't ever move in theory, that's got to stay flat. Like it's got to have a flat plane. And then all these pallets, I'll just probably put one in each corner, not even do 4 pins, just do one in each adjacent or opposite corner. Um, and it should set down and locate fine. And if there's any minor side to side wiggle, I will just put some sticky tack on the sides of the pallets to keep them from moving, but I doubt there will be.
Yeah, I would think that it's pretty bulletproof,
Yeah.
especially because there's no like cutting force or anything. Like you're literally just holding things in position.
Yeah, as long as they don't move, that's it. Nothing's touching them, so
Yeah. Oh, I was gonna say I kind of mentioned it last night. Next time you have to make a fixture plate, I would highly recommend getting Mike 6 instead of billet like
okay.
6061, because that stuff's made for tooling plates. So it's like it already comes Blanchard ground, and I think it's usually like flat and parallel within 5 thou or something. And
Oh yeah,
then
I mean, I've
because it's
I've dealt
cast,
with that. Yeah.
it doesn't flex as much or warp when you pocket it out.
I honestly haven't really that never crossed my mind, but my old job, that's all we used and it was great because they always had if you scrapped apart, it was this big piece and I just take it home. So
Nice.
but yeah, I honestly also don't know where to get some locally. I don't know. I
I
just
would think
never looked
your
into that.
aluminum supplier should have it.
Yeah, probably.
Um, I don't know. Yeah, it just I thought it was worth mentioning at least.
Yeah. So I guess should we get into these questions?
Yeah, sure. Why not? We can always bounce back and talk about shop stuff if we think of other subjects. Like I know it's so frustrating because yesterday I was working in the shop and I know I came up with two or three things I wanted to bring up,
Oh yeah.
and I was like, "Oh, I'll go to my phone as soon as I'm done with this, and I'll put them on the show notes," and then did not at all, and I like just kept working through.
Yep.
Oh, one thing I wanted to update on. So last time we talked, I had brought up that conundrum of GD&T datums, and when you have maximum material on datums, like what you can do with the shift.
Yeah.
So I talked to a friend who's GD&T certified. I did a lot of research. I really spent probably too much time on this, but it was for work, so I guess it was worth it. So what I came down to is that you can use half of what bonus you would have on those datums with maximum material callout, as long as every other feature referencing those datums can also be moved in the same direction and still satisfy their requirements. It's something called simultaneous requirements. So anything that has simultaneous requirements along with the hole you're trying to shift can, as long as you can satisfy everything at once, you can shift it to half the bonus more or less. So I just wanted to update anybody who's a GD&T nerd out there like me, that was listening last week. That is as near to the truth as I can get. There's a big disconnect between the GD&T spec and like practically using it to inspect parts in like an open setup or a manual CMM. But from everything I can find, that's the best way to describe it. So
Nice.
yeah, it was satisfying to come to an answer and not just keep pounding our heads against the wall.
Yeah, seriously.
All right, so yeah, let's jump into the questions.
All right. Let's do more of Mr. Clark's questions here. I like this one. Gatorade or Powerade and what color?
I don't drink that stuff.
Yeah.
I like if I want a sports drink or something with electrolytes. I guess I there's a powder called Liquid IV that I get at Costco that I'll drink if if I know I'm going to be sweating a lot and I need to like retain water.
Yeah.
But that's it. I don't think I've drank Powerade or Gatorade in years.
I'd say if anything, I every now and then I'll get a Gatorade and I normally get the yellow one. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean I've had both and I don't mind either. But like if somebody you know offered me one or the other, I would never have strong feelings and be like, oh no, put that garbage away. Give me the
Oh
other one.
yeah. Just like you and your toilet paper.
Right. Yeah. As long as I got something to drink, as long as I got toilet paper to wipe, I'm happy.
Oh boy. All right. Well, let's just finish this off here. He also asked probe versus orange fixture. Who will win?
Yeah. So who is going to get this done first? And when he sent me that, I was like, I don't think Peyton's playing.
Yeah, no, I'm not. What was it
uh,
in the Discord? There was like, oh yeah, that's another thing we can talk about is Haas tooling.
oh yeah,
Um,
yeah. And how they, I'm interested to see if they're going to go to battle, legal battle, or if they've licensed Lang fixtures.
oh yeah, what's the deal with that?
I don't know. They still haven't released anything on their website. So for anybody has not seen it, Haas has an entire tooling division now where you can buy end mills, you can buy tool holders. And in their demo, it was a live demo day. It's probably on their YouTube channel.
Yep, it is.
They showed vices that look identical to Lang vices.
It
Like
just has a lasered Haas logo.
yeah, but like the plate that they showed is a virtual copy of the one that I just had delivered to my desk at work today. Um, the vice is exactly the same as like a laying off their website. But when they were asked at one point in the live stream where their things were manufactured, I don't remember them saying Germany. I think somebody said that in the Discord chat, which means that it's probably not Lang or like it's a Lang licensed
Knockoff.
design that they're making somewhere else. Or I said like either they've licensed it or they're ready to go to battle. Haas is really good at both of them.
Yeah, seriously.
Um, so yeah, we'll kind of see. I'm waiting for that to actually show up. I know the drills. Wow, who did they say the drills were? Like somebody in the Discord. I think they were Weeha or not Weeha. What brand was it? I'd have to go back and find. But like the drills are made by a fairly well-known drill company that used to be Kennametal.
Okay.
Like Kennametal owned them and then spun them off or something like that. Um, so I have no idea who's making the collets. I have no idea who's making the tool holders or the end mills. But I mean, I think I'm interested to see like how it all stacks up. They say they've been using some of the tooling in their factory for like 7 years.
Which may or may not be true.
Right. I mean, yeah, exactly. I don't know. I mean, I guess if they're buying and licensing or buying and rebranding off the shelf stuff, then sure. Yeah, I believe that. Like they just, went to that distributor and said, hey, we want to put our name on it and buy $500,000 worth of it or something.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm just interested to see how it all shakes out. I think that the real interesting business play of it is that now you can finance
Yep.
tooling with your machine tool purchase, which is the
It's the
real.
Amazon Prime here.
Yeah, well, it's like they're like almost becoming like the Harley Davidson of machine tools, where they're not just a machine tool brand, they're like a lifestyle brand. Like
That's a
because
good way to put it.
they were also showing like, oh, we've got hats and we've got clocks and we've got pens, and I was like, huh, that's an odd tool for a tooling presentation.
Yeah, but I mean, part of their thing was, I don't know of anywhere that I could buy a DMG Mori T-shirt
No,
or,
no, no, not at all.
and so I think all of that is them Haas being one of the very few machine tool builders that does social media very well, and I think they're picking up on that and realizing like, hey, all these guys on Instagram that have Haas machines, they obviously like us, and we need to get them a T-shirt, or because it could show up in a post and then more eyeballs see it. Like, it's just, I think they're genius in all of that.
Oh, I completely agree. I think my biggest worry with all of this is because they're allowing you to finance it with your machine. I'm worried about people who are like, oh, well, now I can finance, $100,000 machine and $50,000 worth of tooling, and I'll be totally fine. And then they like, don't have the brains or the experience to match what they're trying to finance, and they're just digging themselves in this giant hole. I think that it's a slippery slope that hopefully will turn out well for most people, but that's
Yeah.
just, I don't know. I'm very interested, but the most interesting thing and the thing I'm really looking forward to is kind of seeing where these vices are coming from and where the 0 points that they showed on the UMC demo are coming from, because
I never
that's
thought about that, but I remember watching that part. I'm like, these look really familiar.
oh yeah, they are like 100% Lang, either Lang designs or Lang vices. So
Yeah, and that UMC 500 demo was pretty sweet though.
yeah, yeah, it moves pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm definitely, I'm interested to see how the UMC ages, like the 500. So far I haven't heard of any weird bugs or weird issues. I mean, there was a lot of issues that popped up in the 750 when it first popped up.
Yep.
So far, I mean, it seems like it's a pretty good package.
Oh yeah, but that's what I was gonna say is that in the Discord, everyone was talking about this, and someone mentioned like, or no, it was they were offering a discount code or something, and someone was like, maybe this
Hmm.
includes probing, and I just I just said nope, and then everyone was like, no, 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 everyone was like, no, Peyton.
Well, maybe once you get this fixture plate done, you'll be in the simplifying mood, and you'll jump on the probe bandwagon.
Yeah, see, I don't know. I did post a video because someone, I can't remember who it was on Instagram, was asking for it, is a video of me setting a tool with the Edge Technologies tool setter.
Hmm.
And random thing, I've been posting on my BrickTactical YouTube channel. So if you haven't seen that, if you want machining content, check that out. Um, but it was just interesting because it really, I don't know. I don't feel like bringing up this debate because I feel like it's pointless right now. But it was cool talking to someone else that was kind of in my position. They're like, I don't know if like I'm just like a hobbyist. I don't think I need a probe type thing. And I was like, maybe you don't. Like, it's up to you.
Yeah. I don't know. I would find it very hard to buy a new machine without a probe anymore. Like now, seeing how awesome it is, and how, especially if I started adding employees and I wanted to dummy proof stuff, like it's so easy to just drive the probe to a point. Like if you're worried about a misload, and just be like, well, is something there that's not supposed to be there, or is something not there that's supposed to be there? And it's like error out.
Yeah.
So even stuff like that, like just double checking you, making sure you loaded stuff right, double checking your tool offsets. It's so useful and so easy. Um, but I don't know. I'll, I'll I'll get you going eventually. You'll come down here and play with mine for a day and be like, oh, okay, I understand.
Well, then I'll just buy a brother. I'll feel obligated.
Okay, that too. That works.
Dylan's eyes just lit up.
Yeah, that's fine.
But
But
we never answered the question. The probe versus orange fixture. Who's gonna
oh,
win?
I think it's definitely gonna be the orange fixture.
I hope so.
Yeah, I should have that on fairly soon. Now that I'm out from under this craziness, this, like I said, this next weekend I'm hoping is going to be TSC, and then maybe if I have time, I'll machine the riser for my probe, or my tool probe. and then Brad, we should be able to get the engine crane and get that thing loaded in pretty quick.
Yeah, that's gonna be great.
Yeah, I'm really excited. We were kind of playing around with ideas and stuff, and then I was helping Joe from Cobra Frames. I think that's his name on Instagram, but I was helping him with probing from a common offset, Cobra frame building. Um, and actually, the Blum routines are a little better for it than uh, the Renishaw routines. It seems like the Renishaw routines, when you probe, like if I say like I'm probing Z0, it sets whatever offset to Z0. But like if I'm driving it from a common offset that's not at Z0, and it has to be like, I don't know, you're probing to Z 2.5 inches, it's going to set that work offset at 2.5 inches. Where with the Blum codes, it automatically assumes whatever it touches is Z0 or XY, whatever zero, unless you give it an offset.
Okay.
So it just makes it that much easier. Like there's less work to have to do. Like I don't have to modify my post at all to get it to probe from a common offset and reset a different offset. And really, like talking to CJ at Autodesk, like that's not their intended workflow. Like they just want you probing from a common offset and programming from that offset, and then just updating that offset as you go. Um, but really, like I don't know, on a 3 axis, I would rather probe using a different work offset and update like G54, and then have my normal code run in G54, not have like crazy X, Y's, and Z's that don't make any sense, but stuff that like I can look at the top of the program and be like, oh, okay, my furthest tool down is a 1/2 inch, or my furthest tool down is 3/4 of an inch, stuff like that. I know that it's maybe not the most modern viewpoint. Like it really shouldn't matter, blah blah blah. But it's nice to be able to look at the header of my program and like compare to my drill, be like, oh yeah, I'm drilling an inch deep. I've got an inch 200 of flute. I'm good to go. Like I'm not gonna smash into my collet.
Yeah.
So I don't know. But it was good practice and good workflow optimization for the brother palette. Like now I know how I'm going to do it. I know how I'm going to set it up. There's like a little bit of a workaround to get it to work how I want it to work, but I've now figured that out and I'm ready to rock and roll.
One random thought, you said optimization, and I thought one other thing I did was when I pack orders, this is totally switching gears, but we're bouncing around here. Um, is when I pack orders, I have like this little side closet in like my upstairs like room office area, and that's
Hmm.
where I have all my inventory. And then like out here where it's like my actual desk and computer is, I have another like center table that I normally lay out all the invoices with all the um, envelopes, and like I'll grab one, go into the closet, get what I need, come back, grab one, go into the closet, get what I need, come back. And I was like, I'm walking around too much. And so I put a little table in the closet, and I can basically now I put all the bags like right where my hands are, right by the table, and I can basically stand and just twist my body and use my long ass arms and just reach all these bins and basically not move and pack these orders. Um, and I was
Oh,
just
that's
like,
awesome.
this is awesome. Like I can't do as many because I don't have as much table space, but I'm doing them quicker. So I think it's a win.
Oh, and actually, that was a question I forgot to write down from Andy as well. He asked if you had ever thought about a packaging machine, like I guess a clamshell machine to like auto pack your figurines or whatever.
They're expensive. I know a couple of them out there. They're really expensive, and my little clamshells that I use for figures, they just snap together. Like it's just a friction fit, and it's pretty quick to do it. So I would probably just stick to what I'm doing, honestly.
Yeah, at least until you grow to where you can't, I guess.
Yeah, or I want something more custom or unique.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, what were we talking about?
Oh, and actually, another random tangent. I mean, you were talking about fixing what bugs you, kind of.
Yeah.
I had one of those moments Saturday or Sunday. So, a little bit of backstory. We only have our like nice drill sets at the shop.
Okay.
which means that anytime we use a drill in a drill gun, like our DeWalt, not all the time, but most of the time we end up spinning them in the chuck a little bit or like digging into them and making them kind of nasty. And I was getting like, I think Brad and I have both done that 2 or 3 times. And, we just order a replacement through MSC and chuck that one or put it in a different box that's, our kind of junker box.
Yeah.
And then I was at Lowe's over the weekend and I was like, screw this. And I just bought like a cheap DeWalt drill bit set. And I was like, this is now the shit set that I can use with my drill. And like, we never have to touch that again. And like, I sent it to Brad and he was like, you can just say that it's my fault. And I was like, no, no, no. I did it twice too. I just didn't tell you. And I ordered the drills before you saw they were gone.
Oh, jeez.
So yeah, it was another one of those like, why am I not spending $20 on a drill set so that I don't ever have to order, a, a nicer drill from MSC and like wait for it and stuff.
Yeah.
So it was definitely another one of those like, just fix what bugs you. It's super easy. It's so quick. Just get it done.
Well, and that's another question that we got is here is machine shop efficiency. Is machine shop efficiency important for job shops?
That was
Um,
from Dina.
yeah, and I think so. It's like we're both saying. I mean, we're kind of with what I do, it's kind of like two different things, and you're strictly machining, but like it's like we were saying, these little nitpick things that, you know, I just watched Tom Lipton put out a video, I think it was his meatloaf episode, and he was showing this air hose. And I don't know if you've seen that yet, but it looked like a sweet air hose. And he was just talking about, he's like, if you're the type of person that like when you need to get out an air hose, you're frustrated because it's always tangling and annoying. Like it's those little things that like if you make a mess and you need to clean it up, it's just time. You need to be efficient about it.
Yeah, totally. And I feel like maybe it's not per part efficiency that we're as worried about, but
It's
it's more,
overall.
yeah, it's like workflow efficiency. Like, can I get quote to packaged part done quickly? Not can I get 5,000 of these done at 30 seconds apart?
Yeah, and
Um,
can I do a 8 hour or a 12-hour day and get all this stuff done and also clean up after myself and a little bit more because I'm constantly improving.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So like the little things that like you said, moving all your stuff close so you can pack without moving around, that's a big efficiency improvement on your packing side of your operation, which is like a big thing. The fixture plate for you will be such a big efficiency side thing for your entire printing operation. And so I think it's more holistic efficiency that we're worried about rather than like I'm not gonna spend 20 minutes saving 5 minutes apart if I only have 3 parts to run. I'm gonna be down overall efficiency wise.
Yeah.
Um, and so it's really holistically like how can I save the most time from getting the order to shipping the order.
Yeah, another way, like you said, of looking at it is, you buying those drill bits. Yeah, you spent money or whatever, but it's that time wherever that happens again, it's not an issue anymore. And that's because you put up that upfront work or money or time or whatever. And that's what I'm doing. And, it's looking out for the future potential inefficiencies. Or in my case, if I'm printing 20 parts at a time, well, I want to print 200 at a time. How do I do that so my life is better? I'm not a button pusher as much, and I can get 1,000 things, 1,000 parts printed an hour versus 200. Like it's just, that's just how everyone should think.
Yeah, yeah, I completely agree. Um, so yes, to answer the question.
Yeah, very important.
Very important. Jody Oliphant wrote, "Who is the fifth person down on your DM list?"
Oh boy, I need to open this up.
So mine is actually Andy Clark, H. Clark, because we were chatting today. So that makes it easy.
Mine's actually Jake Yates because I
There you
mentioned him
go.
in my story. You reposted it. So,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah.
I'm super looking forward to his new handles. Like we
Oh yeah, I saw those.
we chatted about that a little bit. Like I already choke up on my handle on his razor quite a bit. Like my
I
hands.
guess I need to pay attention to what I do.
Yeah, so I'm super excited. I already reached out to him like the first time he posted and was like, "You like make sure that there is one for me because I will buy it immediately." I'm totally down. I actually just shaved before the podcast, so it's fresh in my mind. I was like, "Yep, that's gonna be definitely a good purchase."
Yeah, I'm experimenting. I'm growing it out, and then I want to see how it performs. So we're waiting here.
Oh, nice. Do you have the brass base plate, or do you just have the normal one?
I have both.
So I find that the serrated side, or I guess whatever you want to call it, the relieved side
Uh
of the
huh.
brass one works really well with longer hair.
I
Like it
guess
doesn't clog as much, so you
okay.
can really get more.
It's like
Um,
flutes.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's just
That
my
chip
2 cents.
evacuation.
Exactly. Well, and that's one thing I've learned. Like, cause I like for a while I was doing really well in not cutting myself, and then there was like a week or two where I would cut myself a little bit every time I shaved, and I'm realizing it really is all about like the short strokes and washing off the thing very
Oh
often.
yeah.
And I think I was just being too long with my strokes, and like now, like it's way closer, way smoother. I think I was just getting some chip package underneath the blade and
Seriously,
stuff
yeah.
is
And I actually had my cousin come over and I told him about this. I'm like, dude, you have to get one of these things. And I let him use it. I put in a fresh blade and he tried it out and he's like, this is kind of nice. And I'm like, yeah, right. And the selling pitch for me is like, I showed him a stack of razors. I'm like, this was $10 and there's like 50 of them here. And they're double sided and you could probably reuse each one of these at least 5 times. So that's however many, and a Gillette pack is like $40 for 4 of them.
right. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking right now. So I have not reused a single blade. I have used just one every shave, and I bought I want to say 5 packs of razors, like 5 boxes of razors or whatever, the feather ones.
Okay, yeah.
Um, and I'm through 2 boxes now, I
Oh, and
think.
that was another thing I had posted about. How do you dispose of them?
I put them in the back of the. So I don't know if you have the feather double edged blades.
Yeah.
So in the bottom of the box, there's a little slot,
Oh, huh.
and so I just pack them all in there, and then I throw away the whole thing.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't have any recycling in my apartment complex, so maybe they're recyclable. I'm not sure. I doubt it.
I'm always worried about throwing away stuff like that and people cutting themselves.
Yeah, so I pack the entire, like they come in boxes of 10, and I pack the entire 10 into the bottom of the box, and then like it holds all 10 when you're done, and then I just toss the whole box, and it's all tightly held in the bottom.
Yeah, I just like take a piece of duct tape and wrap it.
Work. So yeah, I just checked $20 for 50 blades, and I have used, I think 2 boxes, so 20 blades maybe since December.
Yeah, so half a year.
Yeah, so I've spent $7 the entire year to shave. Um, so yeah, I'm a super big fan. So even if you're like super wasteful like me, it is still heaps cheaper. Like I was doing Dollar Shave Club before this, and so I was paying $10 a month,
Oh,
and
wow.
now I don't at all, and it's just as good of a shave, and it's way more fun. And every time I use it, I'm like, oh man, this is a cool thing that like a friend made.
Yeah.
So yeah, yeah, I'm a big fan.
I
Not a paid
also
sponsorship, but
yeah.
definitely worth your money, guys.
And then I don't know about you, but I do my roughing pass, so I throw on that 3D adaptive, and then I go back and I scallop. Um, no, I'm
Yeah,
serious. I'll do 2 shaves, and the second time just cleans, like, just make sure it's down and gets it.
I laugh because I do the same thing. So like I use
Yeah.
the brass one, and so I use the
Oh, you got
serrated
your
and the
roughing end
fluted.
mill? Yep.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I got my fluted
Hog it
side, and
out.
then yeah, yeah,
Boom.
yep. I go back with my non-fluted for the mirror finish, and
Uncoated.
yep, yep. Oh
Dude,
man,
there's so many parallels in random real life stuff. Like, same with lawn mowing. I'll be like, this ain't efficient. I gotta parallel this.
yeah, yeah, exactly. I need to up my step over per
Yeah,
cut.
seriously.
Oh
So,
man, but yeah, yeah. So remember how we even got on this,
I
honestly.
love how we went from, like, probing to, like, we briefly talked about Gatorade and shaving, and I don't even know what's going on.
Oh, he was the fifth person down your DM list. That's how we got
Oh, yeah,
this.
okay, yeah.
All right, and then Jody's other question was, "Do you even thread mill, bro?"
I know
Um,
Dylan does.
yeah, I got a few thread mills. I try to tap as many things as I can because it's faster. But if the part price is more than the cost of a thread mill, I'll definitely thread mill. If it's a hard material, I'll definitely thread mill. If I've only got one, I'll definitely thread mill. Unless it's like aluminum. Like if I've only got one aluminum thing, I'm just gonna tap it. I know my drills, I know my speeds and feeds, all that stuff. I'm not worried about that. But thread mills are awesome, and like I've used them for deburring. I've used them for all kinds of stuff.
I've yet to play with them, but I would love to, so yeah.
That sounds like that should be your next fun tool to order from Harvey.
Seriously, yeah, if I get some parts that need threads, I'll try it out.
Yeah, it's totally worth it. And like in harder materials, like I've used multi-pitch thread mills on like stainless before, and they're pretty quick. I mean, they're not speedio tapping fast, but they're pretty quick. Like, and they get the job done, and you can comp them out. And I really like the way they work.
Yeah, and just after watching Grimsmo do it all the time, like, it seems like once you start doing it, just like I used to cut tap everything, and then Nick was like, "Form taps, dude, form taps," and he was right. Like once you start doing that, you just don't go back, and it's just so easy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Well, and then like the really awesome thing about thread mills in expensive parts or parts that you can't scrap is
Yeah,
like if you break a thread mill, you can just load another one and touch it off and continue to
exactly.
thread that hole. You're not, EDMing out a tap. So
Yeah,
I'm a big fan.
yeah, yeah.
Um, hmm. So Josh BSW had actually a great question that I probably haven't thought enough about, but what's something that you regret buying for the shop?
Ooh. Um. Honestly, I can't think of anything. If anything, it'd be something dumb that I just end up playing with a lot. Um. Regret buying.
Why don't we circle back around to it? We'll come
Yeah,
back to that one in a little bit. We can jump up to David Ron's question. He says he's looking for a good modular vise, something we can use to hold an 18-inch plate with. Any suggestions?
that's a big vice.
Yeah, I'm not sure that a vise is your best bet.
Yeah.
I guess it depends on the kind of operations. I should have asked him to elaborate a little more. Like if you're just holding the plate and you're popping some holes in it, like you could probably get a few long oranges, like the 20 inchers,
Yep.
and put jaws on the outside and be able to hold it no problem. But if you're holding between 2 points, like you're gonna have some bow. You might be better off like making a subplate and then using some pit bulls or talon grips or something like
That's what
that.
I was thinking.
Um, the other thing, like Saunders is whatever their what is his vice called?
Mod
The
vice?
mod vice. Yeah, that I've never used it. I don't actually know anybody who has, but I mean, not that there aren't a lot of people out there with them. I've just never talked to anybody with them. But that might be a good solution because it is. I mean, in its name, modular.
Yeah.
So it really just depends on the what you're doing. I mean, really, if you're only doing top side work too, you could just there's those like toe clamps where you like bring the toes in and then you tighten the bolt and it like shoves the
Yep.
toe
It just
down and
jams it
in.
in. Yeah.
Yeah. And those are great too because they're really rigid and they hold the thing against your bed, or against whatever fixture plate or whatever you have them on. So that might be another good option depending on if you have to get around the entire plate or not. So yeah, there's a few good options. I think it big plate work sucks. So
I'm learning that with this freaking plate I'm working with.
yeah, I was doing thin 70 thou plates that were 16 by 12 yesterday, and just drilling and countersinking holes in them, but like they have a fairly tight tolerance on the countersink. Like I think they're a cast plate, or
Okay.
maybe not a cast, but like they're powder coated too, and like they're just a pain in the ass. So I had to like do a lot of probing and fixture building to make sure that they sat flat and I could actually get a decent countersink on them. And then I've got some bigger 12 by 14 plates that are like 1/8 inch thick that I have to drill and tap this week. So I've been doing a lot of plate work and it sucks. I don't like it.
Yeah. And then we got one from Josh underscore BSW, and he said, "Oh, that's the one we already did."
He's also got another one though.
Oh yeah. Let's see. How often do you have? Let's see. How often do you have the chance, or how? Gosh, I can't talk today. How often do you have to chase down payments from customers? What's the longest you've had to wait for a payment on a job? Um, that's an interesting question. I've only had a problem once where it was a net 30, and then like you kind of you're I was thinking, I'm like, I don't think I've gotten a check from these guys. And it was a local customer and they're great about it. And it just turns out they kind of forgot. And it was like 6 weeks instead of 4 weeks. And I just emailed them and they're like, oh, yeah, we'll get that out to you. But I mean, other than that, I haven't had problems.
Um, so I have one story that's similar to yours. I kind of briefly touched on that. I got screwed over by somebody on Instagram
Yeah, I remember
in
this.
another country. So that I'm not really going to go into it. His company seems to have failed, so karma's a bitch. But the other one was very similar to you. Like one of my first bigger customers in town, we finished up a whole bunch of work, like rush for them. Like this customer was one where like they would be like, "Hey, we've got 50 plates that need to be finished tomorrow. Can you come pick them up right now?" And I was like, "Okay." And so we dropped off like I don't know, maybe $1,000 worth of parts or something like that over the course of a week, and we had never talked about payment terms or anything.
Yeah.
And we were like, "Hey, so we need to get paid. We're a small business," and they were like, "Oh, well, we're at 30," and this was already like 2 weeks, or no, how did it go? So I think they told us that they were on payment terms, but they never said. And so like we waited a week or two, and then we're like, "Hey, can we get paid?" And they're like, "Oh, you need to submit a PO or a invoice for us to pay you, and it'll be 30 days from the when we get the PO or
You're
the
like, bro,
invoice."
I already gave you the stuff.
Yeah, it's like I already gave you the parts, and I waited a few weeks so that we could get paid. Okay, and so like it was a real tight wallet few weeks while we waited to get paid. This was like right at the beginning. We had just the kitty. The shop was more or less completely empty.
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Living and
Uh,
learning.
oh yeah, yeah. It was like, okay, now I know. Not only do you have to invoice for everything, but you also need to hound your customer because they would usually pay if I didn't say anything. They'd usually pay a week to 2 weeks late too. So I was always like, 30 days and a half. I'd be like, "Hey, do you have that check?" And they'd be like, "Oh yeah, we can write it right now." I'm like, "Yep, yes you can. I'll be
Oh
over
yeah, I
shortly."
guess yeah. I guess there was one job that I got screwed over, and that this really taught me that if they're not a well-established business, like I need 50% up front, no questions asked, if not 100% up front.
Yeah.
Which sounds crazy, but like I can't risk it. And it was a UV printing job actually, printing some other Lego figures for someone, and it was like really short turnaround. They're like they were going to the same convention as me and they wanted to sell some stuff, and it was like $4,000 worth of work or some it was a lot, and I only got like $500.
Oh, jeez.
But it was just like a great lesson. Like, yeah, it was. I try not to think about it because honestly I really don't care, and like you said, he's no longer in business, so
Yeah, things like that have, they end up coming around.
oh yeah.
Like if you don't run your business ethically, like the first person you screw over might not get you, but eventually you're gonna get got. So,
Yeah.
um, yeah. All right.
Let,
Kyle
let's see.
W124, Godfather of the Insta Machinist Discord, asked, "I just bought a fiber laser and want to do some job shop work so that I can actually have an ROI. Any tips on finding people who need things laser engraved?"
Instagram.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I would just start engraving cool stuff.
Yep.
Like there's so many little niches out there. Like you could do everything from like Fortnite stuff on water bottles to like machinist stuff. like just start engraving cool stuff and putting the pictures out there. Like maybe even make your own Instagram for your business that's just laser stuff, and then just put in your bio that you do uh, contract work, and just be able to show off what you got pretty much.
I'm gonna go full Gary V on you, Kyle. Here's what you do. You're gonna get some thin sheet metal, like stainless or something. You're gonna cut it out the shape of a business card. You're gonna look at like people like me or Dylan or whatever, and you're gonna be like, all right, this Brick Tactical guy. I'm gonna take his logo off his website. I'm gonna put it on this card. I'm gonna make a dope looking card. I'm gonna send it to him for free and be like, hey, just letting you know this is something I do, and do that for a bunch of people, and you'd be surprised what you'll get out of it.
Yeah, yeah, it's called a lost leader in
Yeah.
business. It's like the reason that oil change places exist, more or less, is like, oh well, we'll get you in with an oil change that we lose money on, but then oh, you need an air filter, and oh, your transmission needs to be refilled, and oh, this and that, and it's like just get them in with something, get them in the door, get them to get talking to them, and then you got them hooked.
Yeah.
And
And
then
then
most of all, keep them as customers. Like
yeah.
be upfront, good communication, on time, all that good stuff.
Yeah. And I was thinking, I thought of something I regret buying because it's currently, I think I still have it. It's just sitting behind my machine. And that's I got the Haas exhaust thing, basically the mist away that just pumps it into the open air in your shop. Because I never vented it. So it was just taking it out of the machine and throwing it into the air. Um, and I don't know why I did that. And I just swapped it out for a mist away, and now life's great.
Dude, eBay that thing.
I know I need to I honestly probably am just gonna donate it to my tech school I went to and put it on one of their machines or something. I don't know.
That's not a bad idea.
Yeah.
What I've got a few little things that I regret buying, and they were all like things we bought thinking we'd fix them up. So one was when we first needed an air dryer, we bought one that was broken on Craigslist. And Ingersoll Rand one, and like bought parts for it, and Brad silver soldered a whole bunch of things together, and like there were just so many little holes in the system and issues with it that like we ended up just trashing it, and I think it's still sitting under one of our benches. um Thankfully I think we were only $200 into it or something like that, so it wasn't a giant loss, it was just frustrating. And then the other thing was our 85 Kitamura, the one that we bought that was like trashed and needed a rebuild, and we were totally planning on doing it. And then we just got super busy. Like we started taking off a little more than we were actually doing at the time, and we needed like a real second spindle and not one that was like, oh, eventually we'll be able to put parts in this machine. And it sat in our shop and was a giant boat anchor for a year, and then I sold it to somebody who did a full retrofit on it, and it actually is super cool now. He did like a full Centroid retrofit on it. Has been sending me videos recently. Um, so it went on to a good home, which was cool. But it was just, I think I was talking to somebody on the Discord about that the other day. Actually, it was like, don't, if you need to make parts, don't buy a project. Just buy a machine.
That's so true.
Because like we all, I feel like most machinists have that like, oh, I can do that, I can fix that. I like we're
Yes, you
very,
can, but you don't have the time.
yeah, exactly. It was like, no, we needed a second spindle now, and like we bought the TC, the brother, because of that. We were like, we need a second spindle that works, and then the one from Dennis popped up, and we're like, yep, that's it. Like it's cheap. We can DNC to it. It uses the same tooling we have. Just get it. And like I'm so glad we did, because it still makes super good parts, and like anytime there's, I don't know, like a material I don't want to put in the Speedio, or there's something where I'm like, this is kind of sketchy. Like I don't want to blow something up in the Speedio, but like, the TC, I've got a spare spindle for it. Like, worst case, I'll swap out a spindle, I guess.
Yeah.
So that's just like my beater machine, but it holds, I don't know, like really good tolerances every day, and I rarely have to touch comps on it, and it just makes good parts. So I can't complain. So yeah, don't buy a project,
Buy a
buy a solution.
solution.
Yeah. And then actually, we just got another question that popped up. from T5 Manufacturing. He says, "What was the thought process behind starting Proteum while you're working your full-time machinist job? I'm currently just getting started and looking to purchase some equipment. I'm having a tough time biting the bullet and fully committing to it. Any advice?"
Don't buy a
Uh,
project.
yeah, don't buy a project, buy a solution. No, but so the biggest thing for starting Proteum for me was that I was super unhappy in my job and like super unhappy with the way that local shops were run. Like everybody was constantly late, never telling the customer until they were like 2 or 3 days late that they were going to be late. They were, buying garbage tooling and expecting the world from it. They were buying garbage machines and expecting the world from it. They, wouldn't inspect parts properly. They were like, "Oh, well, we think this is good," or like, it's as good as we can make it, so it must be good. And just like all those little things irked me so much, and I was like, there's clearly a gaping hole in at least the industry around me for like somebody who is competent in what they do, communicates really well, and like produces a good part on time. And so I was like, well, I can do that. Like I more or less know what I'm doing. And Brad felt the same way, and so we started Proteum because of that. It I think I've said it a couple times on the podcast. Like if I was working where I am now back then, I'm not so sure that I would have started Proteum because like I really like my day job and I have a lot of support there and a lot of free range to like pursue ideas and pursue new technologies and all of that, which is one thing I love to do at Proteum. So I don't know, but then again, also I'm not sure I would be in my position at my current job without all the things that I've learned at Proteum and like being able to grind hard and really learn hard lessons making my own parts for customers. So I don't know. It kind of just depends. Like we've talked about it before on the podcast, Peyton. Like, this business is not for everyone. It's not easy. You will have lots of sleepless nights.
You will lose lots of money,
Yeah, but it's
thousands of
also,
dollars, and that's
yeah,
not me saying that like tens of thousands of dollars will be lost.
yeah, but it's also super rewarding and you learn a ton
You
and
meet awesome people.
yeah, and you're the controller of your own destiny. So, just weigh the options. If that sounds like what you want, then go for it. Make sure you have like if you're married or you have kids, like make sure that your wife or partner will take care of that. Like make sure that they understand what you're signing up for because it is not easy. It, it it is brutal
Be
sometimes. So,
cautious, but also there's a part of it that's like, I hate saying it, maybe just because I'm young, but you only live once. Like, you got to take some risk.
oh, totally, yeah.
Um,
But like,
so
don't risk your family over
exactly, be
being
smart
an
about
entrepreneur.
it.
Yeah, like you might have time later in life if you have a family now when kids are grown and can take care of themselves that you can also do this. But like me, I don't have kids. You don't have kids. It works out well for us.
Yeah,
So just be smart about it. Um, Personally, I've got no problem buying used equipment as long as you get it either checked out or you know how to check it out and make sure that it's working properly and that you can get support. That's the biggest thing is getting support. Make sure that parts are still available, people are still available. Like some companies offer free tech support on the phone, which is invaluable. Some companies like Yaskawa for my kitty, they'll do free tech support on the phone and through email. But if I wanted somebody to come out, the nearest field office is in California, and so it cost me, I think, 2 grand was the last quote I got before he started looking at my machine.
Jesus.
Yeah, because it was airfare and hotel and rental
It's
car
just
and
like
per
those
diem.
guys trying to come check out my boy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, the biggest thing is really vet whatever you're getting. Like, if you lose out on an opportunity because you want to ask too many questions, that opportunity was not right for you. So yeah, that's more or less what we got for questions, I think.
Yeah.
So, Peyton, what did you research this week?
Oh shoot. Da, 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 da. Oh, I guess the last 2 weeks, really.
Yeah, what did you research the last 2 weeks?
You go first.
Um, I've got a few. So I did a whole bunch of research on Anchor because,
Oh yeah.
thankfully everybody who's listening, thank you for sticking with us over the last 2 weeks when our episodes disappeared from everywhere but Anchor and Spotify. They are all back up now, and I have been assured that that probably won't happen again.
Yeah,
um, I have also been doing some research into knives because I bought a new like EDC knife just because I wanted one.
nice, nice.
Um, and actually, it might become a project. I'll share it on my Instagram if it does. I think I might make some scales for it and some little like a clip or something for it, just because it was a cheap knife with a good blade, and I kind of knew up front that it was going to be a little bit of a project. And I've been researching some rotary screw compressors because there is a Quincy locally through one of our customers' employees that might be going up for sale. It's probably more than we should spend, but it would also really lower the volume in our shop, which would be awesome.
Yeah,
Um, I think that's a bit about it. Just lots of little things. I've been printing a whole bunch of little doodads too. So I've been researching a lot of printable items like, sponge dishes and, mounts for stuff. So, um, yeah. And then I did a whole deep dive into boring heads and boring head sets that would service a large range and mount into a 30 taper spindle or on an ER holder or something like that. And so, that obviously, as stated at the beginning, led to me back to the Mari Tool one, and I'll let everybody know how it works out. But so far, I'm looking forward to it. I actually emailed Mari Tool about their kit, like with my uh, use case and all of that, and then they were like, "Oh, well, why don't you call Frank Mari?" And
yeah,
like I talked to him for, I don't know, 15 minutes or something like that, and told him about it. And he was like, "Oh yeah, this is totally for you. Like as long as you can convert from metric to English, you'll be fine." And I was like, "Yeah, I got a calculator. I'll be fine."
yeah.
um, so yeah, that was my search history more or less for the last couple weeks. What about you?
uh, Couple things, I guess. Totally not machining related, but I think that's kind of. I think a lot of people out here. That's why I like the random questions, like the Gatorade and the Powerade. Like it just gives people like it's like a break from all the machining, and they can get to know us a little bit more, which I think's cool.
Yeah,
Um,
totally.
let's see. I really want to take piano lessons. I really want to learn how to play the piano. And
Oh,
then
cool.
I also am looking into I really want to learn how to like legit skateboard. Like I am scared to death of a skateboard, but like I want to be able to like at least just like mob around the neighborhood comfortably.
That'd be sweet.
So, I don't know. I think those would be two little skills that'd be kind of cool.
Yeah, that'd be really really cool. Have you looked into that? There's like an app that teaches you piano and like it'll play along with you or whatever.
No.
I can't remember what it's called. Daniel Thrasher on YouTube. He
Okay.
like does comedy piano sketches,
Okay.
and I feel like in one or two of them, it's the sponsor for him. But if I remember it, I'll send it your way.
Okay, yeah.
Uh, yeah, that'd be cool. That'd be really cool. And I agree. Like things outside of the realm of machining are kind of fun to talk about on here too.
Yeah, sometimes it gets old talking about end mills.
Yeah, yeah. There are only so many things you can do.
Yeah. So,
That is for sure.
other than that, this is a good episode, episode 55, and we don't really know who's going to be our next guest. So, just pay attention to Instagram and you might be pleasantly surprised. It might be you. You never know.
Yeah, and technically, this Friday is our year anniversary of the podcast.
Oh,
So
shoot.
I don't know if we want to do another. We'll figure it out. But I want to do either next week or the following week. Do some kind of little giveaway,
Yeah.
and little contest, just to thank everybody who listens and has been following along for a year. So we really appreciate it, guys. Have an excellent week. Keep kicking butt at your shop or wherever you're working. And we'll talk to you next week.
All right, guys. See you next week.